Ja, hallo und herzlich.
Hello and welcome also from my side. And I have to say I'm very pleased to be here today. And by now it's the fourth time in a row that I'm here with you on stage talking about strategy. And Thomas Hensler gave some quotes that I might want to elaborate on, because for me it's really important. I like this exchange. I like to be here. I like to be in this community. It makes us better. It gives us a feedback. We're also learning. And I think that exactly is the constructive exchange that is very important. And the more we have of it, the better will we all become together. I have to tell you, last night when at the happy hour at the show floor, I walked through the show floor, I found it fascinating. It's really fascinating to see that customers, partners, SAP, that we are really one community. And all of us are really enjoying the same target. And we have to work together to get there. And of course, there are opinions, that's quite clear, and software manufacturer needs an opinion of how to go into the future, but exchange is extremely important. So thank you very much indeed for your feedback. And also the demands and the requests that I heard today. I would probably have to have 2 or 3 more hours of presentation to elaborate on everything, but you can be sure we jointly tackle the topics, and we stand in with our words. Christian and myself, we wouldn't come here to Bremen and seek exchange if this wasn't so very close to our hearts, especially here in our home country, saying how do we develop SAP for the next 52 years. There's one important aspect, Christine, you just mentioned it. I just follow up on it briefly. You asked ChatGPT about what is the MVC, the most valuable customer. And the interesting thing was, and it said in the text, their transaction history, it says something like contract details. That also was part of the answer if you read through it. And maybe let me answer it from my personal perspective, from my personal views. I've been in the ecosystem for 19 years. Half of my life I've spent working for SAP and this community. And basically, I had wanted to talk about AI, but maybe we can reuse the first slide. We are going to do that now, because basically it nicely describes the customers that we consider to be our most important customers. It's the customers with whom, together, we have gone through the various technological changes, and the discussions that we're having today, we had them when we went from R2 to R3 to ECC to S4HANA and now jointly into the cloud. It's customers that give us continuous feedback. We appreciate that. And customers who see change as an opportunity and that help us to become better. So we talked about it, the coordination, the feedback, the influence, the potential. That's very important to us, and you can be sure we will not only take it seriously. I hope you have also seen it in the past with the commitments that we also made here for the DSAG Annual Congress, that we do something that is called walk the talk. So document management, travel management, ACM in S4HANA, and many other things are an example of that. I think we can see that we are really listening to that feedback, and at the end of the day, the question is fitting, what are your most important customers? That fits well to the title of this annual Congress. It's customers that are wonderfully changeable, that work together with us, that walk along with us, and that's also true for SAP itself. SAP also has to keep on developing. We learn every day. 1 year ago at the annual Congress, nobody, if you're honest with yourself, would have thought here that artificial intelligence would see such an enormous spread. And if you take a look at the AI revolution in the past 12 months, if you actively pursue that, it's a new development every single day. That's the kind of speed that we consider as a commitment there to join along, to help all of you at the end of the day. Especially there when it comes to enterprise software, one thing is clear at the end of the day. The only constant thing is change. You've seen it on the timeline, how SAP is developing, how technologies are developing, how business models have been developing. And I think Christina has described it nicely. This is going to continue. The question is only, are we ready? And I sometimes I'm concerned if I see the survey values at DSAG, where do we stand? Are we ready for the future? I think that is something that we have to work on together. What can we do in a better way? This certainly is something where we want to actively support, because if you stand still, it's a step backwards already. Let's be honest about that. And here again, this applies to you as well as to us as SAP. It's not that we are not changing our strategy overnight, but of course we are also adapting. We have to adapt our strategy. We have to react in an agile way to new circumstances. We cannot cling on to the past. This is something that we have to do with the right kind of balance, with the right kind of cooperation. And I think that's where the discussion that we're having here is so very valuable. And you can be sure the biggest ambition, I think in the past 52 years we've proven that. If you take a long-term perspective, it's that we are a reliable partner. So I happened to see Peter Hecker from John Deere. John Deere has been a customer since 1976. All steps were taken together with us. Those are customers, loyal customers. It's unbelievable, incredible. They help us with their feedback to get better and better. And I think Christian also made that commitment yesterday. I like that sentence, that we don't leave anybody behind. We didn't leave anybody behind in the future, in the past rather. And now it's actually true with regard to that transformation that we are going through. We keep on learning. We heard the feedback. Of course, we want to help all of our customers to take that step forward into the future together with us. This means that together with GSAG, specifically with the transformation department, we have to closely cooperate. How can the migration take place? What do we have to do? And you can be assured that through this dialogue, in the next few weeks and months as well, new offerings and solutions and technological tools will be developed that help to make things simpler. Of course, we have an interest in simplifying upgrades, migration, the intrinsic motivation of ours, because we want the new innovations to be consumed. And I think we are just working on that together. I'm convinced also through the examples of the past that in part we already mentioned, that we will be finding the right solutions. I already mentioned HCM in S4 and other things. This means this exchange is so very precious for us. So I would like to encourage all of you really to continue in the very same way. When I sat here yesterday morning, I saw all of the function holders on stage. That was really an important and emotional moment for me. Just bear in mind how many people, day by day, on a voluntary basis, are working and helping SAP to get better. I would like to say a big thank you, really, to everyone, not only from my side, but from the entire SAP. Thank you so much for this great cooperation. Only this just makes us better. And I would like to say we not only take it seriously, but hopefully you are seeing that through your feedback, strategy is being developed even further, which I believe is very important. But Christian Klein was very clear about that yesterday. I would like to follow up on that. The future for SAP and for our customers is, of course, the cloud. Naturally, the claim with RISE and Grow with SAP is that we take our customers by their hands very closely and support them. And here again, anybody who sees the RISE offering sees that it is changing over time because we are learning, we want to get better. And the claim that we put up at the beginning is something that we want to fulfill, business transformation as a service. And you are going to see there what's going to improve SAP in the future in order to support you more actively, because RISE with SAP is not a commercial offering, of course. RISE with SAP is not only better hosting, of course. RISE with SAP is not just another deployment method. Rather more, it's the future platform for SAP, where through modular architecture, through the architectural decision that we have taken, more innovation can be delivered in a continuous way, which we can do and further develop in the cloud seamlessly. And that's the point of departure for the future. This is something that we are working on, and together with you, we want to develop it further. And of course, we've got the claim that all of the modifications that have been done over the years, that is what makes the process so interesting and so difficult. That's the key complexity over the years. So many additional developments have been made in those years. I myself in the consultant time, SE80 was a dream. Let's be honest about it. That was a development platform. So how we can get that into the future, that's why we are having the strategy with a clean core through the business technology platform, having clear enhancements. That's very strategically important for us. And that's where we also want to help you. And hopefully AI is going to help as well to generate some of the code there. Maybe we'll get back to that later today, and also in terms of the tech world, how will the business transformation be accelerated at this point? On the topic of integration, it's been mentioned several times before. Let me remind you By now, we've got 3,800 open APIs. Our commitment stands. I personally gave it that even hybrid architecture continue to be supported by us. Where you can see that is with more than 780 APIs versus S/4HANA on-premise. And here the number of APIs will continuously be developed further. That's out of the question completely. And this is something where hopefully you are going to see we stand by our word, we deliver accordingly. But as mentioned earlier as well, is the innovation arriving there? How much can we stand of it? How much of it are we seeing? And there the reality actually is, and I see the statistics every day in front of my eyes, many things, many of the great innovations that we are delivering with more than 40,000 developers each individual day, unfortunately, doesn't always get to the customer. It's also a claim for ourselves, especially in the cloud, that the product experience should be ensured. And that's exactly the claim why we want it when we deliver AI services, that actively through the programs, maybe at the beginning also with human support from consultants, from advisors, that we, well, breathe life into these scenarios together with you so that you can feel the added value of AI, so that we see an enormous adoption of the innovations that we are delivering. And for us, the cloud is an enormous vehicle where very quickly additional innovation can be delivered. A good example, by the way, also for adaptations, many people know that. My hobby horse used to be mobile in the past. That was my first job in IT at SAP Mobile COE. I'm still quite emotional on that topic. SAP has got SAP Mobile Start, which was rolled out. Who of you is using SAP Mobile Start? Exactly. That's the problem. That app is free of charge. And in the app, you've got a task center from all of our applications. You get the central workflows together at this point. That was also a request that we had 1 or 2 years ago at the DSAG Annual Congress. We delivered. How do we ensure that this innovation gets to the customer? We want to do more on that. We've got the ambition to do more on that. Do we have to get better on that? Yes, we do. We aren't perfect either. That's also our claim, that at the end of the day, maybe next year or the year after that, half of the people in the audience raise their hand and say, yes, indeed, we also are using Mobile Start. That's a good topic. Only yesterday I got the feedback, well, at Mobile Start, what's missing is a notification service. Exactly. And we followed up on this feedback. It will be delivered as per the 1st of October. We can do that in the cloud. Because we can deliver continuously. That's the kind of speed that we want to achieve. We have to do it as a company. So please be assured, even Rise and Grow is constantly being developed further. And you've seen a few examples. You've seen with Signavio how strategically we want to approach the topic of process management. You've seen the acquisition Lean IX. We heard earlier on the SAP Cloud ALM. Just imagine those assets all together, the things that we can do, that transformation vehicles in order to make it easier for you in modular enterprise architectures to better get your migration done, to better optimize the processes on a continuous basis. That's the claim that we have with Rise and Grow, and you are going to see many things where we are making investments accordingly. And of course, it's true there is a certain perception. SAP is thinking only of large companies. More than 80% of our customers are small and medium enterprises. We are extremely proud of that, and SME customers help us to decide solutions as easy as possible. I know SAP has got complex applications, but we also solve complex problems. Sustainability is a great example. It's not a simple problem. If you seriously tackle it, it's probably one of the most complex problems that humankind has ever tackled. That's why sometimes I find it so fascinating how some of our competitors are applying a dashboard with a globe and thinking that they solve the sustainability problem. That's not it. So we are working hard to implement it in systems and applications. But where I'm wanting to go is the topic that through the cloud throughout, we can deliver innovation to our customers all the time, continuously. And it's important to mention to me that we are very clear about this as a company, that this is very strategic for us. One of the companies that is already 100% in the cloud is something that I wanted to bring on the stage. It's always better if customers talk about their experience with SAP, the advantage that they're having. And I'm talking about the Smart Press Shop, a joint venture of Porsche and Schuler. And I'm happy, very happy in particular, to welcome the CEO. Welcome, Hendrik Rothe. Hello and thank you. Smart press shop, not everybody in the audience will know it. Can you briefly describe what the smart press shop does and what the challenges are that you faced and how you were able to solve them with the help of SAP? Thank you very much, Jeet. I'd like to make use of this opportunity at this fantastic stage. So a little commercial for the smart press shop is going to follow now. Smart press shop, SPS, is a newly founded company. It, as you heard, is a joint venture between Schuler and the Porsche AG, with the task being founded in 2019, within 2 years' time. Very high-value body components to be produced and delivered as a free supplier in the market and as a free tier one. And founded in 2019, since 2021 we've been producing with about 150 employees currently. We will be growing to 200 employees in the next few months. And our claim is that we supply to the customer very exclusive surface parts. Everything that you see in terms of plate metal, sheet metal parts in the car is what we produce. And the challenge that we had is that we were founded in 2019, 2 years, very close timeline, in order to introduce an ERP and MS system. For us, it was very clear from the very beginning we work in the public cloud. We are experts in sheet metal forming, but not experts in data handling. We don't want to configure our own service and keep our own data. And we were a planning team of 5 employees, not including SAP, not even an ERP expert. That was kind of the challenge. But this is where SAP came into play. This is where we got to know each other. Well, absolutely, and what's exciting, and please correct me if I'm wrong, also in the discussions that we had, we are talking about an implementation timeline of 2.5 months with only 2 employees on your side in your IT. Is that correct? Not quite correct. In principle, it was one of our employees. And he was a planner, really, for, well, he didn't even come from IT. He dealt with that topic very intensively. And by now, with those 150 people that we're having now, we've got 2 IT employees. There are no proven SAP experts because basically we don't want to take care of that, really. SAP gives to us the system. They make it available to us. We rely on it being running, and we are doing rather well with that at the moment, I have to say. But maybe actually back to the topic, the challenge was having a small team, having the shortest thinkable time frame. Within 2 years, we had to decide on the system with which we wanted to work in the public cloud. We were convinced by the professionality of SAP on the one hand side. I just learned about Grow with SAP. This is exactly the way that we are embarking on. And then also availability. You must not forget about that. The availability of competent system houses that we do have here in Germany. We've got a partner, Syntax, with whom we are cooperating, and they support our entire IT, basically. And in this combination, it was possible for us that within 6 months' time, the complete system could be integrated, and it was workable. We were workable, and within 9 months, the MES system was 100% running. I think that is something like benchmark still. Well, it certainly is a great story and absolutely impressive. What you have achieved is really fascinating. What would you tell companies that are still in front of a task like that? We are talking about ERP, S/4HANA, public cloud, and MES with a digital manufacturing cloud. What do you recommend other customers? Was especially DM, the digital manufacturing cloud. My clear announcement is do it, definitely do it. Absolutely do it. I think that's worth a hand and applause, please. Let me put it differently. Do it simple. Make it simple. You don't have to be afraid of that. Some things will fail and go wrong. Everything will not be 100% from the very beginning, but it's the way into the future. From my perspective, especially when it comes to Germany as a location, if we want to continue manufacturing successfully here in Germany, we have to rely on maximum automation. The basis for maximum automation is data, having available all the time in a transparent way, in a reliable way. And that's something that the DM is offering, making the data available. And for me, There's no way avoiding that, no way past that. We really see that skill shortage. Most of the people in the room will be affected by that as well. So we must digitize more and more. We hear so many things about transformation that fits right in. If we don't wake up really on that, and a system like DM is really the basis for that. So just do it. And I mean, the cloud has got one different advantage, that we keep communicating continuous innovation. It goes on and on, ever new functionalities, ever new innovation. Everybody talks about AI. Of course, we are using the digital manufacturing cloud in the factory. AI is a hot topic. What are you currently working on also together with our department on artificial intelligence? Well, I believe AI, we are discussing a lot about it. And I believe most people don't even realize that we are in touch with AI anyway. In SAP, all kinds of routines, they're already covered. Anybody who Googles is using AI routines. So it's part of our day-to-day life anyway already. The question is really how we integrate artificial intelligence in a better way in the future to support us. And I think that's the second way. First of all, it's data generally, but artificial intelligence is a second path towards a secure and safe future. We just want to smoothen and determine that road, that journey. We are using artificial intelligence additionally in two functions today. It's a very complex system on the one hand side. The component quality at the end of line of our system needs to be checked with it. That's a cooperation between Ilunik and SAP. So it's called fully integrated SAP. And then we've got a second very exciting topic that's a little bit larger in terms of cooperation, but also with SAP and Syntax and Cognac. We've got one system that we developed jointly, and we already established it with us, that can be integrated in extremely quickly. An artificial intelligence that is able within just a few hours' time to learn some simple task within 3, 4, 5 hours. Then you can, based upon good parts and false parts that are shown to the AI, you're able to ensure quality assurance and in your production and to monitor the quality assurance. I think that's a very exciting topic, because as the system is so very simple, it's so incredibly scalable within the company. So we got started with one small application, and I have in mind 20, 25, 30 additional applications where I want to continue rolling out the system. And what's exciting is that our customers who used to look at that, they have more and more interest in having access to these data. And this is where I see SAP in a responsibility, making available a platform where it's easy for our customers, depending on the customer with their different requirements, which data, which formats. So that's the kind of topic for us in the future. Absolutely. Mr. Rothe, thanks very much for having been here today, describing here what you are doing. That was absolutely impressive. Thanks for being here, really. I think it's a very impressive story, really. 2 employees or 1 employee in IT, S/4HANA, then public cloud, set live, and artificial intelligence is one topic, of course. Now, the topic of my keynote was duel or duet. And of course, I want to also elaborate on the AI topic at SAP. I think we've mentioned for a long time already that anybody has been using AI anyway already. And I want to ask you in the room, Christine already mentioned that as well. Do you have any constraints, any objections or thoughts that artificial intelligence would make your jobs obsolete? Who's afraid that AI will make your job obsolete? It's interesting that I can hardly see any hand in an IT audience. Quite surprising. BCG made a survey. They assume that 40% of the Germans fear that artificial intelligence will make their job superfluous at some point in time. And this is, of course, a field of tension that we're in, whether it's a duel or a duet. For us, as SAP, the answer is very clear. We believe that it's not a duel, but a duet. But for that exactly, we need to take the right decisions now. together we need to look together that we are making use of it. At the moment, only 15% of the companies in Germany are using artificial intelligence, according to a Bitkom study. Also, 72% believe that it's very important. It's a very clear call to action dealing with AI. We at SAP go all in with AI. We want to establish AI throughout the entire portfolio, and our claim is that we not only have emails generated and things like that, that's also nice and increases productivity, but we want to tackle the major issues, as we mentioned, sustainability, supply chains. This is something where we, of course, have an ambition to also make use of AI in that environment. If you take a look at the various major scenarios, and Christian described it yesterday. On the one hand side, we've got a digital assistant, a co-pilot, helping us to actively answer each question that we're having. On the other hand, there's also the ambition with regard to you. I took mentioned part of the portfolio, Signavio, that we get to self-learning corporate processes, self-learning enterprise processes, and in a combination between Signavio and a business configuration and the cloud ALM, you can nicely imagine how this cycle might look like in the future that we could establish. And of course, we want to make use of artificial intelligence as well in order to accelerate transformation. I already mentioned that taking over custom code into the business technology platform migration. It's also quite clear that between an ECC and S4 migration, that in between I can make a lot with AI, and we are making enormous investments in that direction. But I believe in such a conference, it's good to see software. What are we building on? So when we are talking about AI, it's always abstract. I want to show you in concrete terms that we are working on. One example is in the field of procurement, category management. And I would like to welcome Linda Löffler on stage, who is going to show us what we do in the field of procurement with Linda. Linda?
Thank you very much once again. I'm really pleased to be here to introduce the demo version. Of course, I'm completely excited. And for the following demo, I'm taking on the role of a strategic purchase officer in a company that is expanding within Europe. And now we have a local purchasing team. In the new subsidiary, they approach me. They have a question when it comes to procurement of IT service providers. And they are just asking what they need to consider. The first meeting on that should be this afternoon. So it's extreme time pressure. I need to prepare, and I should be able to give advice and information. Because of our company history, we don't have experience on the market because we have been working in Germany. I don't want to lose the time. I'm opening my SAP start screen to open the digital co-pilot. All this happens on the right-hand side, and I hope that my digital co-pilot will help me to get prepared for this afternoon. I get started by trying to have an overview on IT conditions that I have. So I'm asking a question as a sentence, and within seconds, I get the overview of the last 12 months. So now I dig one step digger because I'm interested in SAP IT service providers. So I have it split it down. The great thing about that, as you see, I'm entering one sentence and I'm getting a graph, an image as a reply. That's the great thing about it. But now, of course, I haven't had my market analysis because I don't know anything about the market. That would be the next level. And why don't we ask our digital co-pilot here whether they can help us to have a market analysis? So that's the question. And what happens now? The co-pilot plays it back to me with a specific proposal to use a different SAP tool. So I just click Now, and I land directly in category management, directly in the right category, so I can choose my region here. So I click on OK. When I scroll down, I have the template for my market analysis, and theoretically, I could now, using a template, I could have an established 5 force model. I could have my market analysis, really targeted approach, so it's cool. But why not allowing the AI do it? It would be so cool having done this market research by AI, because I have time pressure. So generate with AI. I have the small note how to deal with the assumptions by AI. I can click on accept, and within seconds I have the market analysis presented to me on a silver tablet. So here I see the classification of 5 categories, including graphic imagery here in this spiderweb diagram, and on the right-hand side, all the explanations. Last but not least, a summary of the market analysis, the summary of everything. So really easy to consume. I can have a plausibility check, I can verify everything, and here I could make my changes. Last but not least, here down we have the resources, additional help, and after we conducted the analysis, here I even have the possibility to really have my procurement strategy and a proposal for an IT service provider in the EMEA region that I've selected, and have it as a list. I believe that's a good preparation for this meeting afternoon. So thank you very much to the digital co-pilot. Thank you very much. I believe the demo is showing where the journey is headed to. It's just one digital assistant for all our application. It helps in an intelligent way to pull the data from analytics, to prepare them, and to draw important conclusions, to make the right decisions. So you've seen it all, and I believe you could imagine where we're heading to. Another example will be tomorrow. There will be a presentation at 10 a.m., regulatory change. Also digital assistant to help you to identify regulatory changes, to implement a standard here. What's important for us when we are talking about AI, one thing should be clear. We are talking about business AI, so we know quite clearly where SAP is good at. So we should stick at our good business, what we can do best. That's our ambition, using AI, embedding it within our processes, within our applications, and so that they can help us to be fit for the future, being successful. This also means that technologically we need to have partnerships. I believe you've seen it over the last months and also the last quarters, partnerships with IBM, with Google, with Microsoft, with Entropic, Kodiak, you name it. So the best possible technology, using it for critical decisions. And it's an important aspect for me. We are absolutely aware we need to make the critical decisions in our systems. We need the right data. So of course it's a responsibility, an obligation that we accept and we assume, so that we don't allow any hallucinations within AI. It's very important for us that AI is relevant, reliable, and responsible. And it's also something, we haven't done this since yesterday, with extensive AI ethics council for over 5 years. We have individual AI use cases. What about our standards? On the other hand, it's important for us to talk about technology and helping you to implement those standards. And this is the reason why on the business technology platform, we make it available for you. And every prompt that is sent is added by a meta prompt automatically, so that we avoid discrimination and other things. We want to help you. We don't want you to have to think about that. It's the highest standard. We don't wait for any regulations in different countries. We are implementing and we're setting the highest benchmark for ourselves. SAP has always done that and will do it in future. So when we're talking about most reliable results, what is the characteristic of SAP? What do we do differently? What we do with every prompt that is sent in future, automatically by the BTP, We are going to have a real-time transactional database of S/4HANA that is being extended, that you have your customer-specific data that you have access to. Additionally, we use SAP Foundation model that we are building up with all the customer data that are available to us. Christian told about this yesterday, 25,000 customers. And we use applications, more than 200,000 database tables, and you know better, it's millions and billions of data sets in different databases. And if you multiply it, then you see this massive data, what is setting up by the SAP. So we have your customer data with the wisdom of the cloud from all of SAP, of the 25,000 customers trained database. And we use the best MMS, bring it together to make the results relevant. And this is something that, as per definition, is differentiating. And no other company can provide this, to have this data sets to make it usable for AI. What's also important for us, AI is nothing that comes on top. We are about, and this is a transformation by SAP that we're working at, AI is thought right from the start. We rethink application in a new way. And I have another example that I'd like to show you. It has a personal relevance for me. Back then in CRM Consulting is where I started with SAP. So there was a switch to Web UI. So it's a very interesting discussion. Back then there was a chat service, ECM. And I could bet that many of you are using this framework for your process. So what does it look like, this shared service center of the future? Here we have the Company of Enterprise Service Management, and I'd like to show you an outlook of the future that we are working at, and like to welcome Hannah. She is showing us what it will look like in future. Welcome. Thank you, Thomas. Hello, everyone. I'm Annegret Steuer, and I'm really happy to introduce our new enterprise service. This is an example from our bookkeeping, creditor bookkeeping. This is the landing page of service agency. So open cases here on the left-hand side. You can prioritize the cases on the right-hand side, and also automation of success rate. It shows me that 32% of all cases are fully automated and had been finalized. And here I can get to the list of my cases. And I see here confidence score and how far it had been recognized in the correct way. But I'd like to focus on cases that need to be processed manually. Here I see in the first case that AI had prepared this. It seems to be urgent. That is why I'd like to see more details here. In the detail overview, I see further important information, how the AI-based categorization, it has a sentiment analysis, a summary of the situation, of the circumstances, and in the timeline I have further details what happened in that case. So when I go to that one, I see the result of AI-based analysis. And this is showing me, on the one hand, specific information on the business case and the circumstances. In this case, we have the invoice from the supplier linked to further relevant documents. And this link allows me to have a direct access navigation to S/4HANA. You see here the different colors. The invoice had been blocked for this payment. Now I'd like to use the digital co-pilot to have more information. And this confirms, yes, invoice had been blocked, and yes, I want to have more information on that. So now I get recommendation. What measures can I take? And I decide to release this blockade. And I see here that the status of the invoice had been updated. Now I'd like to send an email to the supplier. And I see here the suggested actions. I can select it directly from here. And then, thanks to generative AI, I have a draft email. However, I'd like to refine it because we've had a long-standing relationship with that supplier. And that is why I'd like to write a longer email and choose a more informal style. And thanks to this update, I see that they had adapted the suggestion. And yes, I'd like to take it over, apply. And together with a core track survey, I'd like to send it over to the supplier. And the last step, you now can see that this email has been sent. So this procedure is closed. So I was really happy to show you the next generation of SAP automation for shared information service. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that today you had some insight that we really take it seriously, not only embedding it into application, but really rethinking application in a new way with AI. And this is our foundation of business technology platform, and we're using it. So today the focus was, of course, on AI. On the other hand, and this is a repetition of our statements, when I'm talking about next generation of software, then of course, and has to be intelligent, but it needs to be sustainable, networked and collaborative. And I believe I could spend many hours talking about it, what we did about sustainability, networking with business network, Catena eggs, cooperation, and what have you. But I believe you find more information at our booth. I would like to come to a close and say a big thank you. Exchange is extremely important for us. Feedback is very important to develop as a company, and it only works together with DSAG and dialogue. So thank you very much for the feedback. Thank you for your support, and I hope that we will be your reliable partner in future and will